Firstpost reports from the world's second largest continent. Hello, I'm Alison Lagrange. A very warm welcome from Durban, South Africa. We get you the news and the newsmakers from Africa. From elections to climate change to innovations and opportunities. As the world's attention shifts, we report from Africa, the heart of the global South. Join me every weekday live on Firstpost. Hello and welcome to Firstpost Africa, where we get you the top stories from the continent and from across the world. I'm Alison Lagrange, coming to you live from Durban, South Africa. First, let's take a look at the headlines. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says long-awaited peace talks with Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin could take place in Switzerland, Austria or Turkey once Kiev receives the security guarantees it desires within the next 7 to 10 days. India and Russia reaffirm their shared ambition to expand bilateral trade in a balanced and sustainable manner, including by boosting India's exports to Russia. This, according to External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar at a press conference during his visit to Moscow. And Iran conducts its first military exercise since the end of its 12-day war with Israel, with Navy vessels launching missiles at targets at sea in the Gulf of Oman and the Indian Ocean. China accuses New Zealand's intelligence agency of rehashing smears and slanders after being accused of engaging in foreign interference. And Thailand's suspended Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra testifies in a case seeking her removal from office over her handling of the kingdom's border row with Cambodia, with a ruling expected next week. Hello and welcome. We start with America's third country deportation plan. The Trump administration has been actively sending migrants to countries other than their origin, including African nations like South Sudan, Rwanda, and Eswatini. Now Uganda has also joined the list. Uganda has agreed to receive migrants who do not qualify to remain in the United States. The agreement covers third country nationals who may be denied asylum in the US, but are reluctant or concerned about returning to their countries of origin. Uganda says this is a temporary arrangement with conditions that individuals with criminal records and unaccompanied minors will not be accepted. Kampala also prefers that most of those transferred should be from African countries. Both parties are now working out the detailed modalities of how the agreement will be implemented. This comes as the Trump administration has expanded its campaign to persuade countries worldwide to accept deportees as a part of its crackdown on illegal immigration. This comes after the US Supreme Court gave the green light to third country deportations following earlier legal hurdles. So far, South Sudan, Eswatini, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Rwanda, and now Uganda, have agreed to receive deportees from the US. Migrants have already been sent to South Sudan and Eswatini in Africa, but human rights advocates have strongly criticized the plan, warning that migrants could be sent to countries where they face harm or forced return. Several of the countries that signed agreements have been criticized for human rights abuses. Meanwhile, analysts say this amounts to a form of neocolonialism. It is turning Africa into a migrant dumping ground, while many of these countries struggle with their own security and development challenges. Uganda, for instance, already hosts around 2 million refugees and asylum seekers, mainly from the Democratic Republic of Congo, South Sudan, and Sudan. This makes it the largest refugee hosting country in Africa and the third largest in the world. Earlier, a senior official rejected that such a deal with the US was taking place, as the country lacks infrastructure to host any more migrants. Reports have also indicated that the Netherlands explored setting up a return hub in Uganda for African asylum seekers whose EU applications were rejected. However, no binding agreement has been signed. The third country deportation plan, despite massive backlash, is gaining momentum among Western nations. While the US has already pushed ahead, European governments are now rethinking their stance despite earlier rejections. The EU had once strongly condemned the UK's Rwanda deal in 2022, a plan that was eventually scrapped by the Labour government in 2024. But today, similar proposals are back on the table in Europe. For African nations, such deals offer political leverage, economic incentives, and diplomatic bargaining power. But they also come with serious legal, humanitarian, and ethical questions. As the West looks to outsource its migration challenge, Africa is left to shoulder the burden. And shifting focus to Uganda's neighbor, Kenya, where the US has warned of a possible terror attack and has asked its citizens to remain on high alert. The US Embassy in Nairobi has issued an advisory warning Americans and other foreigners to be vigilant against possible terror threats. The alert urges heightened caution in high-traffic areas and major spots. It says concerns are especially high around anniversary dates of past attacks, including 9/11, the September 21st Westgate Mall attack, and the October 7th Hamas assault on Israel. The US says a major attack can take place at hotels, restaurants, malls, markets, schools, places of worship, police stations, and entertainment spots. It recommends citizens to keep a low profile and to avoid crowds, to steer clear of protests, and to review personal security plans. The US alert mentions the terror group Al-Shabaab, an Al-Qaeda-linked organization based in neighboring Somalia. For over a decade, Al-Shabaab has controlled large parts of rural Somalia, fighting to oust the federal government and to establish an Islamic state. But the group has also struck beyond Somalia, in Kenya, Ethiopia, and Uganda, framing attacks as retaliation for the troop deployments by these countries inside Somalia. Kenya has faced frequent Al-Shabaab attacks, mostly concentrated in the northeast along the Somali border. But the group has also launched high-profile assaults deep inside the country. In 2013, the Westgate Mall attack in Nairobi killed 67 people. In 2015, Garissa University massacre killed 148, mostly students. Then in 2019, a hotel complex attack killed 21. Now, more recently, in April, 5 quarry workers were shot dead. In May, a police convoy was ambushed in Lamu's Boni Forest. 5 officers were killed. And in July, a Kenyan Defence Force convoy hit an IED, leaving 3 soldiers dead. Border security measures and with community engagement. It has carried out airstrikes inside Somalia and has stepped up security patrols in border countries. It also contributed troops to the African Union mission aimed at weakening the group regionally. Yet, Al-Shabaab remains a persistent threat, capturing towns, launching cross-border strikes, and carrying out deadly attacks. This is also not the first such US advisory. Washington has issued similar warnings in the past, some of which proved accurate, while others drew criticism for hurting Kenya's image and tourism industry. At times, these alerts have been seen as overstated, with claims that they discourage travel to entire parts of Nairobi, even when no attacks followed. But officials stress that the threat of Al-Shabaab remains very real. And the next story is from South Africa, where 3 MPs were attacked by a gang. The incident happened on Tuesday. South African MP Ian Cameron, along with 2 other members of Parliament's police committee, were returning from a work trip when their vehicle was attacked in Cape Town's Philippi. The attackers smashed cars' windows with bricks, injuring Cameron and one of his colleagues, as Cameron was struggling to fend off the attackers. He used his licensed firearm to open fire and injured one of the attackers. Now, following the attack, police arrested 2 teenagers aged 16 and 18. One of them was arrested while seeking medical treatment at a hospital on Tuesday, and the other was arrested on a farm the next day. The 3rd suspect is still at large. Now, police have launched an investigation into the case of attempted murder and attempted hijacking. Cameron, who heads the police committee, interacted with media, sharing details of the attack. He said that the first brick came through the window on the driver's side and hit him in the face, and then he saw that his colleagues were also being attacked.
I realized that if we don't do something, then this can go really bad. So I did my best to act in self-defense with my firearm, and then we sped off to the closest secure location.
Now, Cameron also shared the incident in a post on X, saying that he and his colleagues were all safe now, and they were not deterred by the attack. Now, Cameron's teeth were broken in the attack, and one of his colleagues was also briefly hospitalized after he was hit on the head. After being discharged from the hospital, Cameron's colleague has praised his bravery. All 3 MPs are members of the Democratic Alliance, the DA. It is the 2nd biggest party in South Africa's multi-party coalition government. The DA has condemned the attempted robbery attack, saying that it showed how out of control crime is in South Africa. The DA also took a dig at President Ramaphosa's ANC for not making policing more robust in areas such as Philippi. The party called on the Minister of Police to ensure that sufficient resources are allocated to areas with high crime rates. Crime is a major problem in South Africa. The country has one of the highest murder rates in the world, with even prominent people like MPs being attacked. Such incidents further highlight just how serious the issue of crime is in the country. And for the last story today, let's turn our attention to Zambia. Israel has reopened its embassy in the country after more than 5 decades. Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Saar has inaugurated the embassy in Zambia's capital of Lusaka on Wednesday. He was joined by Zambia's Foreign Affairs and International Affairs Minister Mulambo Kayimbe, and the 2 ministers signed an MOU on bilateral consultations and discussed enhancing partnership in areas of agriculture and health.
And we are a resilient nation, overcoming the many challenges we face. We want to share our successes and capabilities with our friends. And Zambia is a friend, and I believe in Zambia's future.
The establishment of a resident diplomatic mission here in Lusaka stands as a testament to the deepening friendship, mutual respect, and growing cooperation between our 2 countries. The opening of this embassy further marks a new chapter in our relations, consolidating the general framework agreement of cooperation signed between Zambia and Israel.
The reopening of the Israeli embassy in Zambia after 52 years comes at a critical time. This move is a part of a broader Israeli effort to expand its influence across Africa. Israel is facing heavy backlash from the international community for its offensive in Gaza. And despite that, the Israeli military has launched a new offensive to take over Gaza City. Now, African countries too have joined the criticism, led by Algeria and South Africa. Pretoria has even filed a genocide case against Israel at the World Court over its offensive in Gaza. South Africa has urged more and more countries to recognize the Palestinian state and to call out Israel for its genocidal activities. This comes after France, the UK and Canada have expressed intent to recognize the Palestinian state in September. South Africa's open criticism of America's ally Israel has already put a trade deal with the US at risk. Yet Pretoria has refused to withdraw support for the Palestinian cause. Another African nation that is a staunch critic of Israel is Egypt. The country has warned against the displacement of Palestinians from the Gaza Strip. Earlier this year, US President Trump suggested moving Palestinians to other countries. And reports suggest that Israel is in talks with several countries to shift the Gazans. Now, this includes South Sudan, Somalia's breakaway region, Somaliland, Ethiopia, and Libya. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is adamant about not ending the war until Hamas disarms. And though Israel has US support, the backlash against the war in Gaza is growing day by day, from both friends and foes alike. Israel is in dire need of allies, and this explains the renewed push to boost ties with African nations. Now it remains to be seen if Israel's diplomatic push in Africa actually translates into real support, or will the backlash over Gaza overshadow its outreach? And that's it on the show for today. We will see you again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hello and welcome to Firstpost Spotlight, where we bring you stories that matter to you from all across the world. From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, we shed light on issues that shape our world. I'm Alison LaGrange, live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin with the top headlines. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he could meet his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, only if his allies agree on security guarantees for Ukraine. Russia's Pacific Fleet launches cruise and anti-ship missiles during drills in the Sea of Japan. This according to the Russian Defense Ministry. In a boost to its military capabilities, New Zealand will spend over $1 billion on